mission trip to Slovakia and Ukraine. So I arrived in Slovakia on a Saturday, the 4th of February, and met up with our missionary there, and his name is Jason. This is Jason over here, and he has been working for our church, helping refugees, along with Pastor Mark. And Pastor Mark is this man right here, standing in his church there in a small town of Slovakia on the border of Ukraine. And these gentlemen are just on fire for the Lord and mission. And without them, none of this would have been possible. Jason's a Army veteran, the operations in Iraq, and a Purple Heart recipient. And Jason's just a solid guy who knows how to do the right thing when things get hard. So Pastor Mark has a farm out there in Slovakia, and just like any other farm, I guess, here, with chickens and sheep and lambs and cows and all kinds of stuff. So he's a farmer, pastor, and we got to look around the farm and play with a tractor there. Pastor Mark wouldn't let us drive his tractor. Probably a good call, but we got a picture in front of it, and we enjoyed hanging out with him. He has quite an operation there. He has 3 different buildings. One is his residence, one is his family's residence, and then a third is open for refugees and whoever needs help, basically, in the community. And he's helped hundreds of refugees since the beginning of this war last February. And they were kind enough. This is where we were staying in Slovakia, a nice little hotel / hunting lodge. And they have deer over there in Slovakia, and they even have them in the Ukraine as well. We got to see them over there. They're red deer, and so you can see the antlers there. Some skillful hunters got those and put them in the lodge. And I'll tell you, we just had a great time. They cooked us a fantastic meal, and we were all stuffed. And Jason and Andy over there from Slovakian church, they were comparing bellies, see who ate the most. I think Jason won, not sure. But we had a blast, and they gave me some gifts, hat, Slovakian hat, and a nice book of Slovakia, and their national drink. So they were kind enough to do that. That's their custom. So the next morning, we loaded up a little vehicle with all of our supplies, and we had cash that we changed to euros. We didn't change it to Ukrainian money because Ukrainian money, unfortunately, isn't worth a whole lot these days, but euros are, and that's their currency. So we exchanged all the money to euros, got all the boxes packed up, and I took this picture over here so you can see we were kind of stuffed to the gills with boxes. How many boxes did we send total? 11 boxes, okay. And poor Pastor Mark was shoved back in there somewhere too. And it was a 12-hour ride from the border of Slovakia into Kyiv, which is the capital of Ukraine. And I took some pictures as we were entering Kyiv, because a lot of this trip was just being witness to what's happening there. And as you can see, these buildings are suffered from battle damage from the Russians who are sending rockets and missiles basically into their cities, and they're targeting their power grid just to make life miserable, basically. And this is the result. Local businesses and industry and grocery stores and whatever happens to be in the way just kind of exploded. And you'd see more of that as you get closer to Kyiv. It's an important area, of course, because it's the capital of Ukraine. It's about the size of Chicago. So just outside of Kyiv, on the other side of it, there's a little town called Borispol, and that's a significant town because most of the refugees that Pastor Mark has helped was from this little town of Borisville outside of Kyiv. And after the Russians were pushed back out of that area, all those refugees, they wanted to go home. And they're just like us. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to be displaced. If they can go back to their homes, they'll go back to their homes. And that's what they did, to get back to work, what little work is available, and also to support the war effort. And so, in the middle picture there, or this picture, that's Pastor Mark, and that's Irina. She was our point of contact in Borisville. She actually works at the local mayor's office, basically a government agency there in Borisville. She's a councilwoman, and even though she's a refugee herself, she helped us, or was anyway. She's back in her little apartment there, while her husband is off to war fighting the Russians. He was a realtor before this all happened. So, yeah, just a normal guy doing a normal job, and now he's off defending his country. But Irina really helped us out to identify folks in the community who could use our help most. And you can see the apartment here. I added this picture because I don't know if you can see the tape on the window, and that's because if there should be an explosion or an impact around there, the hope was that would help keep the glass from shattering. I don't know how effective that would be, but those are the precautions that they're taking. And this is the realities of war over there. This is Irina's apartment. She has a little girl who's 10 years old. And of course, her husband's off to war. And I took a few pictures of, this is bottled water over here, not for drinking, but to keep it in case of a chemical warfare attack. And Irina conceded that it probably wouldn't be very effective if it happened. But Jason and I assured her that actually that's U.S. military, that's how we decontaminate too, or at least that's the plan. What we didn't say is that, we had full mop gear and face masks and all that kind of stuff issued to us to protect us. They had none of that. So that's water to help in case of chemical attack. And there's a battery here, a car battery, because in Kyiv and Borisville and the surrounding areas, the power is constantly going on and off because of the explosions of the indirect fire that's hitting the power grid. But it's also planned to try to make the city a harder target and black it out at times, so Russian aircraft can't target it as easily. And the far picture over there, the close picture here, is just a picture of the basement. That's where everyone goes when there's an air raid. There was 3 of them while we were there, and you hear the air raids go off, the siren go off. Hear the jets scrambling overhead. I can see them a couple times, and and these folks are just living life. That's in the midst of all this. More realities of war. This is the little church that was across the street from where Jason and I stayed in the hotel. And that morning, or the first morning I was there, I woke up to what I thought was the sound of taps. It sounded a little strange, but it sounded like taps to me. And sure enough, Jason came over in the morning. He told me that they had just had a funeral there for a young man who's 19 years old who was killed in the war just days prior. And this little town of Borisville had lost over 50 young men in this fight already. And another one was being buried that day. So Jason and I went across the street to the little church, and we both lit a candle for the young man and put it on the altar, such as their custom. Excuse me. We're there to be the hands and feet of Christ, the body of the church. And we brought supplies. Some of you might recognize the quilt there. We brought a bunch of quilts to keep folks warm and also to let them know that we love them. And that's Irina there, accepting some quilts, and they're storing them away so they can give them to the refugees and the kids. And this is the front office there of the building that we were at to meet some of the war widows and their kids. And this guy's a recruiter. Jason and I tried to sign up, but he said, "No, you're too old, man." No, he was a great guy, and they just treated us so well, and it was a pleasure to be around them. So we went upstairs there in the municipal building, and this is the assistant mayor of the town of Borisville, and she's kind of talking to some of the women who are refugees here. 3 were present, and one of their children was there. We got the other 2 later, but this was just a heartwarming experience to be able to hand over all the funds that you all gave, all right, to help these folks and our surrounding areas. Anybody who gave, there's no overhead for us. We're not paying anybody's salary. We're taking the money that you all gave in our hands and we're giving it to theirs. And so we were able to give $1,000 apiece to 5 war widows, and the rest went in support, of the direct mission for the refugees that Mark supports there and in the community. And these ladies were just overwhelmed with gratitude. It was just an amazing experience. And you think $1,000 really isn't that much, right, in the grand scheme of things. But it is the equivalent of about 4 months' wages in Ukraine. So it helped quite a bit. And our mission is ongoing. So hopefully can raise more funds for these folks. All right, we went to the Borisville Community Center afterwards, and these young men are training as boxers, so we got to pose with them a little bit. And this guy here, he's a world-renowned trainer for boxing. Jason wanted to go a couple rounds. I told him not to, and there he is getting knocked out. We had a good time, just joking around, and kids just being kids in the middle of all this, and they're still finding activities to do, and that's wonderful. And this is a picture of across from the community center. That's a storage area where if anybody needs anything, they can go there and get clothes and blankets or whatever they need to stay warm. So after a visit there the next day, my military brain kind of said to me that it's time to go, right? We completed the mission. It's time to get in our vehicles and exit this situation. But, the good Lord had other plans in mind, and through Mark, Pastor Mark, who insisted he wanted to stay and visit some of these folks. And I was so conflicted by that, because I have a kind of way of thinking that says that's, a risk that we don't have to take. But the fact of the matter is that after I got some time to reflect on all of this, it was absolutely necessary for us to stay there, because it wasn't about the money, it wasn't about the supplies. It was about relationship and sharing the love of Christ and being there with them in person and building those relationships in their suffering. That's, I think, being the body, the hands, and feet of Christ. So that was the big part. And also to bear witness of what these folks are going through. This is a residential area. This is the high water mark for the Russians came invading their country. This is right outside of Kyiv. And this is a residential area. This is where folks live. And it's just blowing up. You can see, you don't see that very well, but, automatic weapon fire here, probably a crew-served weapon. And they've got high explosive rounds hitting this place. You got rocket-propelled grenades. I mean, you name it. They were lobbing it at these people's town, and you could smell the death there. It was powerful. But this is a message of hope to the church. And I'm going to see if I can't put this on a microphone. unfortunately, I can't get it to play. But this woman here is expressing her gratitude, and it was. I wish I could figure it out. I will at some point to play it for you all. But she's just expressing her gratitude to all of you in the church, and how important this is to her, and how much it means to her, and out of the bottom of her heart, thank you to all of you who made this happen. Just the fact that you acknowledge that they're there, it's a big deal for them, and they so appreciate it. And it was a lovely thing to be there and witness it. I don't think you can hear that, can you? Well, I'll figure that one out next time. Yeah, incredible gratitude from these folks. And so I wanted to sort of end with this picture here. Outside of Urban, you can see all the weapons fired that has hit this building. It's been blown out right here. Some sort of weapons impact. And there's this guy, this artist named Bansky from England. He's kind of a famous artist, street artist. And he came here and he drew this beautiful picture of hope. This woman standing on the destruction that is war, just beautifully poised there. And Isaiah 40:31 tells us of hope. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that's it.